Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a classic and honestly highly entertaining narrative from ancient Buddhist texts. We're looking at เรื่องหญิงสหายของนางวิสาขา 118, or the story of Visakha's female friends. And let me tell you, it reads surprisingly like a modern-day sitcom. It's this fascinating, kind of chaotic, and deeply insightful tale about 500 mischievous wives, a massive drinking festival, and an absolutely unforgettable intervention by the Buddha himself. We're going to break down exactly how this ancient story unfolds like a great piece of storytelling and see what it tells us about human nature.
So, I want you to start by asking yourself this. What would you do if you had to look after 500 mischievous friends? I mean, really picture it. Imagine being the sole responsible person, the designated driver, the ultimate guardian for an entire army of people who are just desperate to go out and party. How on earth would you keep them out of trouble? It sounds literally impossible, right? Well, that is exactly the wild predicament our protagonist, Visakha, finds herself in.
The sheer scale of the story is what makes it so incredibly entertaining. 500! According to the Dhammapada commentary, there were 500 husbands in the city of Savathi who all shared the exact same problem. Their wives loved a good time, just a bit too much. So these 500 guys get together and hatch a plan. They specifically entrust their wives to the care of Visakha. Now, you gotta understand, Visakha was this famous, highly respected, and deeply pious laywoman in the community. The husbands basically figured, hey, if anyone can keep our wives grounded, heedful, and completely out of trouble, it's gotta be the wise Visakha.
Section 1. Entrusting wives to Visakha and the 7-day drinking festival. Let's set the scene.
For a while, this arrangement actually works out great. Wherever Visakha goes, this massive entourage of 500 women dutifully follows her. But then a massive citywide drinking festival is announced in Savainti, and it creates the perfect storm. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the timeline. For 7 straight days, the husbands are celebrating and drinking heavily. The wives are playing it cool, preparing the alcohol for them but not partaking themselves. Well, at least not openly. Then, day 8 rolls around, the festival ends, the husbands finally head back to work, and what do they leave behind? Just a massive amount of leftover alcohol. The wives look at this leftover liquor, look at each other, and realize, bingo, this is their golden opportunity. Now, these women know they can't just start throwing them back in the open, so they concoct a scheme. Step 1, they approach Visakha and politely ask for a lovely, innocent trip to the park to enjoy the outdoors. Visakha, suspecting absolutely nothing, says sure. Step 2, the wives secretly pack up all that leftover alcohol so Visakha doesn't see a thing. Step 3, once they're out in the park, far away from the prying eyes of their working husbands, they break out the liquor and get thoroughly, completely intoxicated. Visakha catches them, of course. She scolds them, warning them that this behavior is incredibly inappropriate and could seriously disgrace the whole community of the Buddhist followers. Okay, so the wives know they're in deep trouble now, and not just with Visakha, but potentially with their husbands. So when they get home, they try to execute a classic cover-up. They all pretend to be terribly, terribly sick. But come on, the husbands aren't fools. When they ask where their wives are and get told they're all suddenly sick right after the leftover alcohol mysteriously vanished, yeah, the husbands instantly connect the dots. The deception completely falls apart, and the text actually notes that the husbands severely beat and punish the women for it. You'd think they'd learn their lesson right there, wouldn't you?
Section 2. Sneaking alcohol to the temple. A new deception.
Fast forward a bit, another festival rolls around, and that familiar urge to drink strikes the 500 wives again. They try the old park routine, but Visakha firmly shuts that down. No way! She flat out refuses to take them, reminding them of the absolute disgrace they caused the last time. So the wives pivot to what they think is a flawless alibi. They tell Visakha, okay, no park. Instead, we wish to go to the vihara, the monastery, to listen to the Dhamma and make merit. It's the ultimate trick. Visakha, being so deeply devoted to the Buddha and his teachings, is just thrilled by this sudden display of piety. She happily agrees to escort them. But here is exactly how they pull off the heist. These 500 women systematically pour the intoxicating liquor into small hand-sized water bottles. Then, they carefully hide these little bottles underneath their large draped cloaks. Armed with flowers, perfumes, and hidden booze, they march right past the gates and sneak the alcohol directly into the sacred grounds of the monastery. Honestly, it is a highly coordinated, incredibly audacious smuggling operation.
Section 3. Drunk before the Buddha. Chaos in the Dhamma Hall.
So the women are now inside the Dhamma Hall, sitting literally in the presence of the Buddha himself. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer absurdity of the situation. On one side, you have Visakha, She's calm, pious, composed, and deeply respectful. But on the other side, you have her 500 friends who are now completely intoxicated from covertly sipping their hidden bottles. The ancient text describes them as physically trembling from the alcohol, losing all their inhibitions, and basically gearing up to start clapping, singing, and dancing right there in the middle of the most sacred space imaginable. Visakha looks over and realizes with absolute horror what is unfolding. Her friends are about to turn the Dhamma hall into a tavern. Desperate, she turns to the Buddha and begs him to intervene. She pleads with him to teach these women and put a stop to this wildly inappropriate behavior before it escalates any further.
Section 4. Dhamma dissipates the drunkenness. The Buddha's intervention.
The Buddha realizes pretty quickly that ordinary words just aren't going to pierce through their drunken stupor, so he uses a highly dramatic method to snap them out of it. First, using his psychic powers, he plunges the entire hall into terrifying, pitch-black darkness. The singing and the trembling instantly stop out of sheer panic. Then, just as suddenly, he emits a blinding, radiant ray of light from his brow. The extreme supernatural shock of plunging from absolute darkness to blinding light completely terrorizes the women. That jolt of adrenaline instantly evaporates their intoxication. They are completely, terrifyingly sobered up in a fraction of a second. In that exact moment of absolute clarity and shock, the Buddha delivers a powerful verse from the Dhammapada. He asks them, "Why laugh? Why joy when the world is constantly burning?" Let that sink in for a second. He's telling them that being enveloped in the darkness of ignorance, aging, and death is like sitting inside a burning house. To seek out the fleeting, foolish joy of intoxication when you should be desperately seeking the light of wisdom, it's just a tragic waste. The impact of this intervention is just profound. The dramatic shock that sobered them up, combined with the penetrating truth of the Buddha's words hitting them right when their minds were wide open, leads to an incredible resolution. The text states that all 500 women instantly achieved stream entry, or sotapanna. This is the first absolutely crucial stage of enlightenment in Buddhist theology. It represents a permanent shift in their spiritual awakening. They literally went from secretly throwing back drinks in the temple to attaining profound spiritual insight in a matter of moments. Section 5. The dangers of alcohol and Visakha's reflection. As the dust settles and the women are transformed, Visakha's still processing the sheer chaos that just unfolded. She has this really revealing conversation with the Buddha, so the crucial point is her observation here. She realizes that alcohol is a truly vile and terrible substance. Why? Because it completely strips away a person's composure and their dignity. It's so powerful that it makes people behave entirely foolishly and lose all sense of shame, even when they're sitting right in front of the fully enlightened Buddha. It just robs you of your presence of mind. And the Buddha confirms her disgust. He fully agrees, stating alcohol is truly vile, causing the ruin of hundreds. In fact, this very event prompts the Buddha to recount the Kumbha Jataka, which is a past life story that explains the ancient origins of intoxicating liquor and the immense suffering it's caused humanity throughout time. He reinforces over and over that clarity of mind is the absolute foundation of all spiritual and personal progress. Which ultimately brings us back to you. Now, this might be an ancient story with a bit of a sitcom flair, but man, the core message is incredibly relevant today. Look, we might not be smuggling hand-sized bottles of liquor under our cloaks into a monastery, but we all have our escapes, don't we? If even 500 clever friends couldn't hide their loss of control from the Buddha, what habits are you trying to hide? What distractions or behaviors are secretly robbing you of your own clarity and presence in your daily life? It's definitely a provocative thought to leave you with. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this ancient tale has sparked some new curiosity for you today.